Yesterday we started multiplying fractions, and it was fairly easy, and it was great that we had something easy. And now we're going to go to dividing fractions, and I know that we will need to spend a couple of days on dividing fractions, maybe more than a couple, but we'll mix in some of the other things too. So we're still practicing dividing fractions, as well as practicing multiplying fractions, maybe multiplying decimals. And eventually we'll get back to that dividing decimals, because I realized I didn't go over dividing decimals last Tuesday because we had counseling, so I knew I had to cut that lesson short, so I didn't even post the dividing decimals. So we'll get to that because later, probably next week, we'll be working with decimals again where we're converting them to fractions. So I'll probably do the decimals maybe next week sometime. So this week, or today is Friday, so we're going to be doing dividing fractions. So we'll go ahead and title our notebook entry, Dividing Fractions. And we know these fractions are rational numbers, which means they are positive and negative, and this is our number 8 notebook entry, dividing fractions. Let me see if I can get that a little clearer. Okay, dividing fractions, you don't have to find a common denominator, but you do have to remember something. And I like to use this wrap. So I'm going to draw some music signs. I don't know anything about music, so these may not be the right kind of notes. I just wanted you to know that it's a song. So I'm going to draw these little notes just to signify that it's a song. Okay, you ready? If you have two fractions and you want to divide, you flip the second one and multiply. So that's what we're going to write. And I sing it a lot, so I hope it's in your head. If you have two fractions, and you want to divide, we're going to you flip the second one and multiply. If you have two fractions and you want to divide, you flip the second one and multiply. So get used to hearing it. I know it's lame-o, but it'll help you remember how to do it. So we're going to go with it. And you know I'm a little quirky. If you're here in class, you know I sing and do silly stuff sometimes. So let's just move on with my quirkiness and just keep going. So let's all sing it together. If you have two fractions and you want to divide, you flip the second one and multiply. Now remember that we have positive and negative numbers, so we still have to check those signs. So let's show first how we might be able to show that we're dividing fractions. So if we have 2/5, we could write it like this, divided by 3/6, and that would mean we're dividing. Let's make that 3/6 negative. 2/5 divided by 3/6 could look like this. That means dividing. Trying to think of another way that looks like dividing when we're dividing fractions. Most of the time it's going to look like this or this, so I'm just going to leave it at these. These are both how you might say division. And this one kind of looks scary, but it's really not. It really looks scary because it looks like a fraction. of two fractions, so that's just extra scary. It's a good thing it's almost Halloween time, but it's really just saying this: 2/5 divided by 3/6 or negative 3/6. So let's get started, and you might see it with parentheses also. So if I have two fractions and I want to divide, I flip the second one and multiply. So when I flip it, this is what I'm actually going to do, and I'm going to draw a little arrow. So I leave 2/5 the same. Don't do anything to 2/5. But I am going to flip this one. So that means I'm going to multiply it. And what do I mean by flip? Well, I just mean flop it over. Negative 6/3. It does not matter where your subtraction sign is, or your, not subtraction, where your negative sign is. It doesn't matter if it's on top or bottom. It makes the whole fraction negative. So don't worry about that. Okay, now we just multiply like normal. 2 times 6 is 12. 5 times 3 is 15. Go back and check your signs. This one's positive, this one's negative, so my answer is negative. Now I see that 12 and 15 are both divisible by 3. So 12 divided by 3 is 4, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. And again, don't forget your sign. The answer is negative 4/5. So this becomes this. You have to flip it every time. Okay, do we need a thought bubble? Let's make a thought bubble. And let's say first, I don't do anything to the first number. Don't do anything to that first number. Then I change the sign to multiplication. Then I flip the second fraction and multiply the numerators. Then multiply the denominators. Last, I check my signs to see what sign my answer should have. All right, that was our thought bubble. That's what's in our head. How do I divide these fractions? That looks really scary. Oh, I don't do anything to the first one. I change the division to multiplication. I flip the second one, and I just multiply. That is so easy. Let's go ahead and make a note here too. Let's put, these are both ways I will see dividing fractions. And we'll just draw little arrows. They mean the same thing. 2/5 divided by negative 3/6. Okay, that's our notebook entry for today. I will give you a place to put your notebook entry, but let's practice dividing these fractions for a little while. If you need to stop the video and finish doing your notebook entry, please do that. Okay, let's divide some fractions, and I'm going to show it to you, and that looks like a fraction of two fractions, so we'll get used to seeing it like that. So let's do negative 3/6 divided by negative 7/12. Remember, when you read a fraction that's written in the fraction form, this is what you say first, and this is what you say second, and we know that this means divide. Negative 3/6 divided by negative 7/12. So if you have two fractions and you want to divide, you flip the second one and multiply. I don't do anything to the first one, do I? No, I don't. So I'm just going to draw an arrow. It's negative 3/6. And it says flip the second one and multiply. This is negative 7/12. So if I flip that, it's going to be negative 12/7. Again, it doesn't matter where your negative sign is. It goes with the fraction. So if you want to put it down here with the 7, have at it. It doesn't matter. Okay, so now it's just a multiplication, and we're just going to multiply our numerators. 3 times 12 is 36, and 6 times 7 is 42. I go back and I check my signs. My signs are the same, so that means my answer is positive. Now I see that I have 36 and 42, and I know that they're both divisible by 3 because the only time this works is with 3, so you can't use it with any other number. But 3 plus 6 is 9, that's a multiple of 3, and 4 plus 2 is 6, that's a multiple of 3. So that tells me I can divide both of these by 3. So 36 divided by 3 is 12. And 42 divided by 3 is going to be 14. Remember, it is positive. I can still divide these by 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. And 14 divided by 2 is 7. And again, my answer is positive because my sign comes with it. So positive 6/7 is my answer. Okay, let's try another one. I'm going to write it a different way this time. Let's say we have negative 4/5, and we want to divide it by 7/11 and positive 7/11. Okay, if you have two fractions and you want to divide, you flip the second one and multiply. So we do nothing to the first one, we just bring it over. Negative 4/5, changing it to multiplication. I flip this one, so I flip 7/11 to 11/7. Now I flipped it. Now all I need to do is multiply across the top. Negative 4 times 11 is negative 44. And 5 times 7 is 35. Oh man, now that's an improper fraction. So we have to simplify it. And we simplify by dividing. 44 divided by 35. 35 will go into 44 one time. We subtract. And we get 9. 9 is less than 35, so that becomes our remainder. So it is equal to negative 1 and 9/35. And that is our answer. Dividing fractions isn't very hard. You just have to remember to flip that second one and multiply. Okay? Let's try negative 11/12 divided by 2/3. Again, we do nothing to our first one, negative 11/12. We're going to change the division to multiply, and we're going to flip the second one. 2/3 flipped is 3/2. Then we just multiply across the top, and we get negative 33 over 24. That is an improper fraction, so we need to divide. And we get 1 9/24. And again, that's negative. And these are both divisible by 3. So it's equal to negative 1 3/8. I kind of made that too close together. Let's try 2/8 divided by 3/5. And let's make these both negative. And you may see it like this. If you have two fractions and you want to divide, you flip the second one and multiply. So we're going to bring that first one over, make it multiplication, and flip the second one into 5/3. I like to put my signs up here so I don't miss them, because sometimes if they're down here, I might miss that that's a sign. So I just put mine up there. You do it how you see it the best. Multiply the top. Negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 10. And 8 times 3 is 24. I can divide both of these by 2 because they're both even numbers. 10 divided by 2 is positive 5. 24 divided by 2 is 12. So my final answer is 5/12. Okay, I'm going to give you one to practice. Let's do 6/8 divided by negative 4/5. Okay, I'll give you a minute or two to do that. If you need to pause this video, please do, because we're going to move on. Okay, so the first thing you do is nothing to the first number, 6/8. Change it to multiply. Flip the second one. Don't forget your sign. 6 times negative 5 is negative 30, and 8 times 4 is 32. I can divide both of these by 2. 30 divided by 2 is negative 15. 32 divided by 2 is 16. So my final answer is negative 15/16. Here's another one for you to try. Negative 3/10 divided by negative 2/7. Pause the video and try to solve that yourself. Don't forget your wrap. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is keep the first number exactly like it is, negative 3/10. Change it to multiply. Flip the second fraction. And don't forget your sign. Negative 3 times negative 7 equals positive 21. And 10 times 2 is 20. That is an improper fraction, so I need to divide. 21 divided by 20 is going to equal 1 1/20. And again, it is positive. Positive 1 1/20. Okay, I'm going to let you get started on your practice. I hope you do well with this. We'll practice some more Monday. We'll mix it up with multiplication and division, so we're still practicing both. So good luck with that, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye bye.